welcome to Cream City Craft. My name is Lana, and this is a place where I like to share my thoughts and inspirations on my crafting practice. So if you're interested in things relating to knitting and sewing, then I hope you continue to watch. I'll start with some finished projects, the first one being this shirt. This is the Modern Sewing Company unisex shirt, and I made it in a lightweight linen. And I just finished this, I think 2 days ago. And of course now the weather has cooled down, so it's a little too cold to wear this shirt actually without a coat on top. But it should be warming back up again next week, so I'll still be able to get some wear out of it. But I really like this pattern a lot. I think it's a really well written pattern. The instructions are very clear, and it was a lot of fun to make. I did make the size medium. According to the measurements, I'm probably, I don't know, the smallest or second smallest size, but I decided to size up quite a bit because I wanted it to be very roomy and relaxed. Other than that, I did make a couple other modifications. I did shorten the length of the body. So I just kind of drew a line across, I would say the bottom like third of the pattern of the body, and just took out, I think, about 4 centimeters. And I did that from the front and the back. And with that, I think I had to remove I had to kind of space the buttonhole. So I went from the top one and then just kind of measured out, an equal distance for the buttonholes because I removed 4 centimeters. Now the buttonhole placement would have been a little off. So I redid that on the pattern. And then other than that, I think I did the short sleeve length, which is, she has 3 different sleeve length options, which I think is really helpful. And then, yeah, everything else did exactly to pattern. I think it turned out really nicely. The finishing details on this pattern are amazing. I love the flat, or are they flat felled seams, or it's basically a flat felled seam, where it's very like, there's no like flap on the inside, which might be my new favorite seam. I'm usually a French seam person, but this is nice because it's just so flat. And it's on the side seam and actually on the sleeve as well, right here, underneath. And that was a little, not tricky to sew, but you just have to, it's a little bit like cumbersome in the machine because you've got all this material kind of bunched up as you're having to go through this like small circumference of the sleeve, but it turned out totally fine. I didn't have to like redo it or anything. So it, the only part I had to like unpick and go back and redo was the edging of one of the cuffs. I don't even know if I can tell which one it was, but just where the cuff lined up here, where it met the placket, my cuff was just a little bit longer, or like the circumference was a little bit bigger than the circumference of the edge of the placket. And that probably was just a little bit of like human error from my seam allowance, not being like exact. So I just had to unpick it and kind of flip it back inside out, re-sew the edge of the cuff here to take out the extra. I had probably like maybe 4 millimeters. So it wasn't like a huge amount, but it was enough where I was like, oh, I think I want to redo it because everything else was looking really good. So I didn't want like this one thing to be, and it was on the layer that was on the outside. If it was on the layer that was on the inside, I probably would have just left it, but this outside part, I wanted it to look really like smooth and seamless. So I did go back and redo that, but other than that, I think everything else went really smoothly. The only other thing I noticed was my collar stand here looks a little tall, I think. And I don't know if this is how the pattern is supposed to be, but compared to like standard button-down shirts, I feel like this collar stand is like a little taller than what I would have expected. And it's not a problem at all. It's not creating any weird issues with how it lays, but it was just something I noticed, and that may have been due to, again, my seam allowance not being super accurate. I mean, I am trying to be accurate. I like mark everything, but I'm a human being and things happen. Also, I think I need to upgrade my scissors. Yeah, they're not they're getting a little old and the tip is not very pointy, so it's hard to kind of get a nice precise like corner. So I might look into like getting a new pair of scissors. Maybe it'll be something on my Christmas list. But yeah, I'm in the market for kind of a more, I don't know, something that's like nice and heavy and, you know, sturdy pair of scissors. I've just got a pair from like Joann's. They're fine, they function well, but yeah, I think I want something with a nice point. I've noticed that it's hard to get really clean like corners with those. Yeah, so other than that, everything turned out great. I did just do the one pocket because I wanted the asymmetry, and I didn't do a button on there. I am thinking about actually adding a button to the placket here just because it's pretty long here and it does like flap open a little bit, and if I want to like unbutton it, it becomes like a very big flappy thing. Like if I were to unbutton it and then roll it, it's like very open here. And I think I would like it if there was just one button here, so I could unbutton it and roll it up, and not have it be so like flapping open. But it does work perfectly fine to roll up on me at this with this size, to just keep it buttoned, and I can still roll it. It's not too tight to do that. So yeah, that's my unisex shirt in this bright yellow, and I love it. It's great. Yes, so the next thing I finished is my Lucia scarf. I made a second sample, and this is my own pattern that I hopefully will be releasing soon. I was just trying to follow my own pattern again, almost just like test knitting my own pattern to make sure that things made sense. I think I need to clarify some of the wording for some of the shaping sections, but I think all like the stitch counts and everything are correct. But here's my second sample. It's this bright cobalt blue, and I used one strand of a lace weight alpaca, 100% alpaca, and one strand of a mohair silk and Surrey alpaca blend. So it's like another lace weight kind of fuzzy yarn. So my gauge for this was a little different than my original sample. I think my gauge was actually, like, it turned out while I was knitting it, it was looking wider actually, which I thought was interesting because the yarn was actually thinner. But after blocking, it seems to have kind of like stretched out in length, and it looks great. I did make it shorter than what I recommend in my own pattern because I was running out of yarn, and I think I had literally like this much of the fuzzy yarn left, so I had to stop. Otherwise I just would have kept knitting. But yeah, it turned out great. It's so soft and fluffy, and yeah, it's a really striking color, so I'm excited to have like a pop of something for when it gets dull and dreary out in the wintertime. I think it'll be nice to have a little pop of color. Yeah, so that's my Lucia scarf. Nothing really too exciting to say about it. It turned out great. Yeah, I really want to release the pattern. I feel like it's so fun to knit and so satisfying and so easy, and yeah, it would make a great gift. I feel like it's just a really nice, quick and simple pattern that, you know, has a lot of function as well. So yes, little Lucia scarf. Next I have a little gift knit, and it's for my sister's baby. She is due in January, I believe. I think January 1st is her due date. But I have knit a couple things for the baby already, but I want to keep them secret for her, but I will show this one little thing. And it's something I made with just some scraps lying around. And it's this little tiny hat. I used the Pearl Soho pattern. They have a lot of patterns. It's one of their baby hats, free pattern. And it's just a really simple stockinette little beanie for a baby. And they have, I think, just 2 sizes. But I used some scrap like sock yarn. I haven't blocked it yet, so it looks a little lumpy, but I did have to stripe together 3 different yarns for this. It only looks like 2, but it's actually 3. So there's the yellow, and then the yellow is slightly variegated. It's got a little bit of variation in the tones, but it looks pretty much like solid. And then I have a white, which I actually use down here. And then I quickly realized that I was not gonna have enough of the yellow to do the like striping I had established down here. So I switched to just single rows of the yellow and was alternating the white with this other yarn that was basically the same color white, but with flecks of green in it. So it turned out really cute. I did have to, my gauge must have been very off because when I first cast on, it was looking like an adult sized hat. Like it was significantly larger than this. So I had to just, I wasn't about to like knit on like these, this was done on 3mm and I didn't really want to go down in size and my needles. So I just I just kind of like pinched it and said, okay, it looks like I need about 20 stitches less or whatever it was. And I just restarted, and I did have to kind of fuss with the decreases at the top a little bit. There's one part that's a little bit funky because again, the stitch counts now were off from what the pattern had recommended, but it's fine. It's for a baby. It's probably gonna just wear it for like, I don't know, maybe a year. And yeah, my sister lives in Montana, so it will be cold when the baby is born, so I wanted to knit a little hat. And I just did the I-cord loop on top. There's a few different variations of this hat in the pattern. There's one with, I think, a garter, like, brim and stockinette, and then there's one with ribbing, I think, and then I just did the rolled brim, I guess. And then you can finish with a little I-cord top, which I think is super cute. It's so little. And then the other option was a pom-pom, and I was gonna do a pom-pom, but I got a little lazy and just decided to finish with the little I-cord, and yeah, I think it turns out really cute. So I'm excited to give this to her. I should probably block it to smooth it out a little bit. It is a little bit lumpy, and yeah, striping with 3 different yarns that were all scraps, so the balls were like falling apart. It was like more annoying to knit than it should have been, but it was fine. It was, I mean, I like casually knit on it for like maybe a week and it was done. So yeah, not too much of a hassle. It was still fun to make, and I'll definitely be making more baby things. So I'll be sure to show those because they're so cute. So I think that's all the finished items. I do have some knitting projects that I'm working on, and one of them is actually, yeah, I have my Juno bag that I'm working on still that I talked about in my previous video, which is still not anywhere near being done. It's really hard for me to work with the linen yarn. It's really hard on my hands, so I'm just taking my time with it. I have made progress. I've built up probably about 3 inches of it now, and it's really fun to knit on. If you don't have issues with plant-based yarns, then you can probably whip this out in a matter of weeks, but for me it's gonna take longer than that. I've had issues in the past where I've knit with these kind of cotton plant-based yarns and gave myself basically tendonitis in my wrist. So it took a long time to get rid of it. Like I had chronic pain in my wrist for probably a year. So I'm really careful now with working through any pain with my crafting. If it hurts, or if I'm even getting fatigue, or I'm getting an inkling of irritation, then I just stop what I'm doing and do something else, because otherwise you can't do any of your crafting, and then that's not fun. So I'm taking my time in small doses with breaks in between. It's very manageable and I'm not having any issues. So just little by little I'm chipping away at my Juno bag. Other projects, I'm deciding to kind of pull out some of my old projects that have been sitting in their project bags for, gosh, at least a year. I think one of these is in 2 years. And yeah, I should say that I'm ashamed to have some projects kind of lingering for that long, but I'm really not. I prefer to just work on whatever I am inspired to work on at the moment and not pressure myself into finishing something for the sake of finishing it. It starts to feel like a chore and it's not as fun. And for me, you know, my knitting and crafting is supposed to be fun. It's my part of my day that I don't have to stress out about. I can just enjoy it. There's no deadlines. There's no to-do lists, really. It's just purely for the joy of it. And so if I'm forcing myself to finish something, it just completely sucks that joy out. And then why am I doing it? You know, so these projects I started and I was inspired to work on them in the moment, and then they stopped being inspiring for me, and because other things, you know, took my focus. But I do want to finish these, so I am gonna try to work on them, mainly because I don't have any other like projects that I'm like dying to make right now. There isn't anything that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I really want to make this. I have things that I want to make, but there isn't anything that's like really captivating my attention at the moment. So I'm deciding to kind of go in and kind of finish up some of these lingering projects. So one of them is, I believe it's called the Judy sweater. I'll have to fact check myself, but I think it's called the Judy sweater by Gregoria Fibers, and I started this I think 2 years ago. And this is what I have that I was able to do. Let's see, where's the top? So I just have it on like a stitch holder. So I think this is a size 2, and this is the back panel back here. And I'm knitting this in 1 strand of Nutiden and 1 strand of silk mohair. I think the main reason why I stopped working on this was that I ran out of silk mohair. I still need to buy silk mohair for this project, but I do really want to finish it. I think it's a really beautiful sweater, and the fabric is amazing. I love Nutiden. I have a very large stash of Nutiden. I have cut myself off from purchasing any more Nutiden because I just have a lot that I've accumulated, and I have a lot of colors to work with, and there's no need for me to buy any more. I will in the future probably, but I should work through what I have, and I have several colors that are really pretty. So this is just a plain natural white. I think the color is called Duvkula. This is pretty old colorway, I think, for them. But yeah, I have a number of these plates, and I will say I really enjoy my Nutiden projects that I've held with silk mohair. I know some people are like very into the pure, like only Nutiden. It's so soft. It smells good. But and I have knit in 2 strands of Nutiden, and I do enjoy it, but for me it pills so much. And yeah, for me it just depends on what kind of garment I want it to be and what its function is. Like I wanted the garments that I've knit in 2 strands of Nutiden are the garments that I intend to be kind of like more rustic, more rugged, you know, the kind of like cardigan that I sit out by the campfire with, more like maybe outerwear type stuff, something that's really substantial. And so I have a couple of items that I've made with 2 strands of Nutiden that kind of are in that category of garment for me. For this, I didn't want it to be that. I wanted it to be more delicate and more lightweight, and something that I could like layer something over it. Because with the 2 strands of Nutiden, it does create a pretty thick fabric. And when the fabric's so thick, I feel like it's difficult to layer over it, at least for me. So, and also I want the garment to have more ease when the fabric is thicker. I feel like I need more ease because I don't want to wear a fitted, thick, like a sweater that's fitted but also has thick fabric. For me, I feel like that would be uncomfortable. So this one I'm holding it with silk mohair, and I have made a sweater with silk mohair and Nutiden held together, and it does pill a lot less. It still has some pilling, but it's not like crazy like the other ones. And I don't mind the pilling, but it's the kind of pilling that's it's hard to remove, at least for me. Like I can't just shave it off. It's kind of like pilling / matting. Like it's it's very unique. Nutiden is very unique, and I think, and I love it. I absolutely love knitting with Nutiden. Like knitting with it is like so relaxing, so meditative, because as you can't hold your yarn as tightly when you knit with Nutiden because it's unspun. So it'll just break. So naturally your tension relaxes, your body relaxes, your mind relaxes, everything kind of just like softens, and that's really enjoyable when you're making something, to be in that kind of relaxed state instead of like, you know, fighting something or trying to like, you know, get your needles in there. Like it's just way more of a zen experience knitting with Nutiden, and that's why I love it so much. And the material is so unique and so warm, so lightweight, which is why I want to finish this sweater. Yes, so this is the Judy, I think it's the Judy sweater, and it's this textured, simple texture. It's just thin pearls, and I think there are little eyelets, maybe. Yeah, there's little eyelets, but it's very simple. But you do have to keep track of your rows, so there's that. But yeah, I hope to get working on this. It would be great to have it like ready for winter time when it gets cold. I was thinking about making this actually into a cardigan, just modifying the pattern, and like instead of connecting the front, just leaving it separated. But we'll see when I get there how I feel about it, if I want to go that route. But yeah, so that's that. The other whip I'm working on, unfinished thing that's been lying around, is a Lulu Slipover by Petite Knit, and let me see if I can get out of this bag. This I was making for my grandmother. She lives in Japan, and I made a Lulu Slipover for myself, and then I made one for my mom, and my grandmother was visiting me. She was visiting me and tried on my slipover, I think, and she really liked it. And it does get cold in Japan. I mean, Japan, really hot, humid in the summer, and then it can get pretty chilly in the winter. So I think she would be able to get a lot of use out of a woolly slipover. So I did start it, and I basically finished the back here. And I'm knitting this in Harrisville Designs Shetland, which I wound off into I just buy the cones of these. I wound off into a little ball, and then the Knitting for Olive Silk Mohair. I'm not sure what the color is, like soft gray, one of those. It's a gray color. And yeah, out of the two other ones I made of this, I did really enjoy it. There's a lot, there's, you know, some shaping, you got a little stockinette, then you got ribbing, and then you've got more shaping in the front, you have the double knit button bands. Like there's always something kind of like new you're doing, so it does feel kind of engaging, but it's nothing too like complicated. So yeah, I think it is, you know, it's a great pattern. It's easy to follow and everything. I just, for some reason, I'm having a really hard time motivating myself to work on this. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like the color is just like bland for me right now. I don't know. But I really want to get this so I can send it to her. I was supposed to send it to her last winter and I didn't finish it in time. And then I just decided to not work on it because once it got warmer, I knew she wasn't going to be using it. So I thought I'll just wait till next winter. And so I really, really need to work on this. But yeah, I really should. I mean, half of it's already done, so I should just do it. But those are my two knitting projects, apart from my Juno bag, that I have going on. I have the materials for the Lulu Slipover. So I should probably just start working on that. I need to buy the silk mohair for the other sweater, but yeah, those are the two projects that I hope to be working on as we roll into fall. And then let's see, what else do we have on the list? Got my notes here. yeah, so next I just wanted to talk about some plans that I have. So I guess I'll start with the swatch that I made first. So this is some yarn that my husband found for me at a thrift store. He was there at the thrift store. I was not. I was at home doing something. And he sent me a picture, like, do you want this yarn? And it was this massive cone of yarn. And I've already wound off like 3 balls of this. And this is, I think it's Jaeger spun. I think it's woolen silk. It looks like a lace weight, honestly, like maybe a slightly heavy lace weight. It's an amazing blue color. It's got this like glow to it because of the silk, and it's pretty soft for like a cone yarn. So I'm really excited to do something with this. I did wind off 3 balls. They're probably not even 100. They're probably like, I don't know, somewhere at 25 grams or 50 grams maybe. Just to knit some swatches with. So I did knit 1 swatch. This is, and this has not been blocked yet. This is 3 strands held together on 5mm needles. And I think it looks really nice. It's coming out to be, I think, like an Aran at this, with these needles and this many strands held together. And yeah, this is looking good. I am curious to try with 2 strands on maybe 4mm and see how that is. And yeah, I'll just have to see what the fabric is like, what the drape is like before I kind of decide what I want to make with it. I'm thinking of just something kind of simple, like a raglan sweater maybe, or like a cardigan, something kind of basic, just because the color is so nice. I was maybe thinking of doing the Dagmar jacket with this, but I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know how much yarn I actually have, because I looked this up and I don't think this yarn is being produced anymore. But I think this is like, I don't know, I think there's a lot of yardage, like 5,000 yards or something on these cones, but I don't know if this has been used at all. So if I were to make the Dagmar, I would probably need to hold 3 strands and I'm just not sure if I would have enough. Like, I feel like I would have to like wind off all the yarn, like weigh it and then do some math and see, do I have enough? Because I know with the cables and things, you can kind of eat up more yarn than just a plain stockinette project. But yes, this is something that I'm going to be playing with. I might experiment with. I just want to see the density of the yarn and the fabric that it creates before I decide like what kind of project I want to do with it. But definitely I think some kind of garment, because I have so much. I mean, it's still a lot of yarn, so yes, I'm excited about that. It's a beautiful color. Second project. The second project is, I don't actually have anything in front of me for this project, but it's, I plan on making the Sonia sweater by Petite Knit for my mom, in 1 strand of silk mohair and 1 strand of Nutaden. I made myself this sweater with that combination, and I love that sweater so much. And when she came and visited me, she basically wore it the whole time she was here. She like didn't take it off. She loved it. So I said, I can make you one. And I think she wants it in white. So I have some more white Nutaden. It's not the same color. It's not the same as the one that I'm using for the Judy. It's a different like colorway. It's a little bit thinner and a little bit more, not softer, but just a little bit more like silky, I think. And I think it will be really nice. So that one's a really easy knit. You know, it's like stockinette, drop shoulder, crew neck. Like, it's very basic. So I think that'll be a good one that I can just kind of knit on, like in front of the TV in the evenings or whatever. You know, it should be like a pretty easy one. It's on like 5mm needles. Actually, I think I did 4mm. I think the pattern calls for 5, but I think I did it on 4 because of the gauge with the Nutaden. But yeah, that's another project that I hope to get done in time for hopefully Christmas. And then another knitting project that I want to work on is, let's see, yes, a color work sweater for myself. I have been really wanting to do some more color work. A lot of what I do is just kind of like simple, like one color things, maybe, you know, some little stripes here and there, but I generally stick with like one color just because I think I like wearing kind of just solid colors, but I do also want a few more color work sweaters. I think they're just something, it just like screams like cold weather to me. So I do want to have like a couple more color work items in my wardrobe. I have one, but it's more of like a slightly more lower contrast color work. So I do have plans for that, and I do have a yarn for that, but I'm going to talk about that a little later because it's something that I just bought. But yeah, so those are some of the plans. For the colorwork sweater, I'm thinking of doing, and again, I have to like check my gauge with the yarn that I have, but what is it called? It's a pattern by Anne Venzel. Shoot, I'll try to like put a picture, but it's got the triangle motif. Yeah, something like with the color work up top, I think that would be nice. And you know, I'm not, because I don't do a ton of color work, my skill with tensioning and things probably aren't amazing, so I don't want to do anything too complicated. But yeah, I think, and it'll probably just be the one contrast color. I don't want to do anything, I mean, I would love to do like a multicolored, like, you know, complex color work, but I need more practice before I dive into that. Yes, so other plans, my sewing plans. So I do have some sewing plans. So I do have sewing plans, and one of them is making a quilt for me and my husband. I made a quilt for both my sisters for each of their weddings. And so I wanted to make ourselves a quilt for our wedding, but I didn't make it in time for the wedding because what I decided to do was repurpose the material that I used to make the napkins for our wedding into the quilt itself. So I made all of our napkins, and I purchased cotton linen. It was like a cotton linen blend. I can't remember the exact percentage, but I just did like a frayed edge napkin, and I just like tore it, and then you kind of fix up the edges. You wash it a couple of times, and it kind of removes the excess strands. Like there's still one kind of coming off here. But the napkins turned out amazing for the wedding. Yeah, they ironed really well. They held a nice crisp fold, and I folded them, you know, so we could put the silverware in there, and yeah, it looked amazing, and it turned out great, and was really happy we went that route. I did not want like a polyester napkin. I know that sounds like, I don't know. It's like most people probably wouldn't even think twice about the fabric content of their napkins at their wedding, but for me, I really did not want polyester or any kind of like synthetic material. I wanted natural fiber like napkins, and so I was like, I'm just gonna make them because it's so easy, right? So yeah, we bought like 8 yards of this material, and we just spent one evening just kind of like ripping it apart, and it was really easy. Like yeah, I highly recommend it. But now we have all these napkins, and luckily a lot of them are still very pristine and clean. Like I don't know how that's possible because we served pizza, but yeah, I did like a very deep clean of them after we got home. I like did borax and, you know, washing. I basically stripped them. I think I soaked them overnight even. Did I use Clorox? I used like some intense cleaner to lift the stains, because there was some stains from like the tomato and like oil and things, but most of them turned out really clean, and I'm going to piece together you know, the best looking ones into a quilt. And I'm not really sure, like it's not going to be a patchwork quilt because it's all white, I guess, but I am thinking about doing, and again, I have to kind of see how many of these. We had, I think, 40 something napkins that are this looks like a smaller one. I think some of them got a little off in the sizing, but roughly this size. So if I can get both front and back with this fabric, that would be amazing. I don't know if that's possible because I do want it to be big enough to like be a substantial throw over our bed. But yeah, if I don't have enough fabric, then I'll need to like think about what I want the quilt back to be. But if I can get front and back, then I'll just use this. And then I'm thinking of doing maybe something more with the stitching. So like using like a contrasting color and maybe doing like a hand stitched like quilting design with like maybe some like colored like sashiko thread or something would be nice. Yeah. And then, perhaps maybe a contrast binding. I'm not sure. This is just, I'm just throwing ideas out there. But this material from the napkins will be made into a quilt. And if there are leftovers, I will just keep them as napkins probably. So that's one of the plans, sewing. And then the last plan for sewing is a pair of pants. And I do have fabric. This is some fabric I purchased in Oregon this summer at Josephine's Dry Goods, the same shop I purchased this linen at. And this is, I believe, cotton. It's like a cotton twill, but it has a little bit of stretch, like probably 1%. It's like very, let's see here. It's like, maybe it's more, maybe it's 2%. I don't know. But it's a really unique color. It's like brown, but with a hint of green and gray to it. It's really, really nice. And I was thinking of making either a pair of like a jumpsuit or pants with it. I think I have 3 yards of this. Maybe I got 2.5 of this one. I was thinking of doing the Clyde jumpsuit from Elizabeth Suzanne, but because this has stretch, I'm actually thinking about making a pair of pants that are actually a little bit more fitted around the hip area, because with the stretch in the material, it would still give me some freedom in my movement. I really, really don't like my clothing to be tight. It's one of my pet peeves. I do not like tight fitting clothing. I don't like to feel restricted in my movement. I don't want to feel like being squeezed around my stomach. Like I don't want to feel restricted by my clothes in any way. But I figure since there's a bit of stretch in this, I could venture into something a little bit more fitted around the hips, because I do think that is more flattering on my body instead of having something really voluminous around my hips. Like sometimes like elasticated waist pants can look, they're not the most flattering because that elastic creates volume and gathering around the waist, and then you have this volume around the hips, which you need some room around your hips, otherwise you won't be able to move. But sometimes with the elasticated pants, it's like a lot of volume, and I have very narrow hips, like extremely narrow hips. Like I'm shaped like this, basically, like a rectangle, if not like inverted triangle. My hips are like the narrowest part of my body, basically. So if I wear a pair of pants that are really voluminous around my hips, it almost looks a little off. I don't know, I have to wear looser pants in a very specific way with a specific kind of top. Fitted pants tend to be a little bit easier to style, but because they're fitted, I don't tend to gravitate towards them because I feel restricted. So yes, but I am thinking about making a pair of like more like proper pants with them, and I'm considering the Modern Sewing Company worker trousers. The only thing with those pants is that I believe they're high-waisted, and I do not like high-waisted garments. It's just not a good place to accentuate on my body. I have a very short torso, and it just shortens my torso even further. It basically, if I wear high-waisted anything, it makes me look like I have no torso because my body is just like so short this way. So I tend to gravitate towards mid or low-rise garments. Those just look better, they feel better on my body. And so I would probably actually do her like course that she has, the like online workshop for the pants, to make sure that I would know how to modify this pattern to have a lower rise. So, and I would probably have to grade between sizes because my waist measurement and my hip measurements never align with one size. My waist is usually like a size medium and my hips are like a size extra small. So it's always a little bit like hard for me to find and make pants that fit my body type. The other pair of pants that I'm considering is, I think it's a pattern by the Friday Pattern Company, and they're called the Flanier pants, I think is how you pronounce it. And I think those, they say they're a mid-rise. And they're kind of fitted around the hips, and then they're just like a straight leg all the way down. And I would probably crop them up a little bit, like so that they're at my ankle instead of like above my ankle instead of past my ankle. And they look pretty simple to make. I do believe there's a zipper fly, but there's no like side pockets. I think there's like pockets on the back and maybe like a patch pocket on the side. And they have also an elasticated, like the waistband on the back half is elasticated. The worker trousers from Modern Sewing Company don't have any elastic in the waist. And that is another thing that I'm like about, because I again, I like to be comfortable in my clothes. So yeah, those are kind of the two patterns I'm thinking about. I'm leaning towards the Flanier pants because of the elasticated waist, because they're mid-rise, but I like the kind of tapered shape of the worker trousers, so I'm gonna have to think about it. But yes, these will definitely become like pants or a jumpsuit, but I don't think I'll do the Clyde in these, because the Clyde I think would work for a woven that doesn't have stretch, because there's so much ease in that pattern. I don't want to use this material for that. I could use other material. But yeah, it's that's a project. And the other thing I like about the worker trousers is that, judging from like the two other patterns I've made from Kitty. Judging from the other patterns that I've made from the Modern Sewing Company, the finishing details on the pattern are really, really good. And I would be curious to just make them just to like gain the skills of learning how to like do a zipper fly really neatly, finishing off with bias tape, like all that stuff looks really nice. Like that's one of the things I really liked about this pattern, was the detail to all the finishing little things. It just really elevates the garment. It doesn't feel like homemade, you know, it feels like handcrafted from a small like boutique, you know, like you had to, you know, place your order 3 months in advance and like they custom, you know, order, or you custom order it, that kind of thing. It has that kind of feel, like very I don't know what the word is. It's just it feels very professional, it feels really elevated. And so yeah, not that the Flanier pants wouldn't feel like that, but I feel like the Modern Sewing Company, with the workshop option that she has, you would be able to get like a really good professional finish with it. So yeah, I'm gonna think about it. But yes, that fabric will be pants. So that is all of my plans, but I do want to go back to the colorwork sweater that I was talking about. So today I just got back from the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival. It was my first wool festival that I've ever been to, and it was a lot of fun. I went with my sister. It was a beautiful day. It was like, you know, slightly breezy. It was like in the 60s, really just perfect sweater weather. And yeah, it was so fun. All the vendors were really nice to like, we walked through all the shops all the stalls when we got there, and I kind of scoped out some things that I wanted, and then I went back to get stuff later. But before that, we went to the barn area and we actually watched a ewe give birth to a baby sheep. Oh my gosh, the babies were so cute. I mean, they were like literally newborn. Like when we got there, one had just dropped like 20 minutes before we got there. And then while we were there watching, the person was giving a kind of not demonstration, just a he was just talking about, you know, his establishment and what kinds of things they do. And so the farmer, I guess, was talking about, you know, how they kind of like time out the breeding of these sheep so that they give birth during the Sheep and Wool Festival. And yeah, it was just amazing to see. Like I think the ewe that gave birth was the one that gave birth like while we were there was a slightly older one. So he said it was probably going to be her last time giving birth. And she just gave birth to one. There was another one that was there that had three little babies, but they were just so adorable. Yes, but it was, yeah, really amazing to see that. And then of course we kind of walked through and saw the other breeds, and you know, those were all adults. But yeah, they were all really nice to pet, and like they're all really cute. Yeah, so that was definitely, I think, the highlight for me going to the Sheep and Wool Festival, was just seeing those little baby lambs or baby sheep. Yeah, really, really cute. And then, yeah, we got some food, and also happened to watch the Maiden was Made with Wool, Maiden Wool, like fashion show. I guess it's like a competition that is done, I think, internationally, where people kind of compete entering things that they've made. I think they have one section for garments, another for like things that aren't garments. And so we watched like the final like walk around of all the garments, and people, it was like basically a fashion show, walking around with their garments that they made. And some of them are really amazing. Like one woman had like a red coat that was like wool, and then she took it off, and she had like a 3-piece set underneath that was also handmade by her. So yeah, really impressive to see that. But I did buy a couple things. I did buy some yarn. So this yarn is the yarn I intend to make my colorwork sweater with. And it is from Round Barn Fiber Mill, and they're in Durand, Illinois. And I got these two colors. I think these are both undyed, and this one is, they're both BFL, 100% BFL, I believe. This one is 2-ply fingering weight, and it's their dark brown color, or is it brown? I think it's just brown. There was a slightly lighter brown, but I think it was called light brown. And then I got this one, which is just the white. And this is 3-ply BFL as well. And yeah, it's so soft and delightful. I was contemplating on getting the white in the 2-ply, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to commit to like that fingering weight color work. So I decided to go with the DK weight, which is this one. And then unfortunately they were out of the DK, the brown. So I just got the 2-ply, and I'm gonna hold it double. And yeah, I'm really excited. It's just so soft and so nice and squishy, and yeah, there was so much yarn. Yeah, I was really tempted to buy a lot more, but of course I restrained myself. But yeah, I was wanting to make a colorwork sweater, and I thought like a more natural tone one would be really nice. Yeah, so that's that. And then so I bought 5 skeins of the white, and I just bought the one of the brown. So I'm gonna need to find a pattern that only uses, I'm imagining just like a colorwork yoke where it's just like a little bit of the color up here, and then the rest of the body and the sleeves is just in the main color. But yeah, it's really nice. They had a lot of, their selection was dwindling down by the time I went back, and I think it's good. The fair is going on, or the festival is going on tomorrow as well. So we went on the second day. They were already selling out of stuff. So yeah, really popular little stall, but yeah, there was so much amazing yarn. It's hard to choose, but this one caught my eye. They just had, it was like really simple stuff, like really simple colors. But they also had some alpaca and other kind of like breeds of wool. But this one felt really nice to me, so I decided to go with this one. And then the last thing I got, or the other thing I got, was a little tool. So I got one of these little like yarn, it's called a Yarn Buddy. And this is from Sun Valley Fibers. And the lady said that her husband makes these, and yeah, I saw this and I was like, wow, this looks like it would be really handy because, you know, a lot of times you knit with more than one strand or more than one ball of yarn, and for me the balls are always rolling around across the floor, or they get kind of like tangled up in my bag, and it's not a problem necessarily, but sometimes it's a little annoying and it can make the knitting process a little bit more cumbersome and, you know, more of a hassle than it needs to be. So I thought it would be nice to try this out. It's really smooth, this like spinning, and I can't read the letters here, but yeah, this is a different kind of wood than this, and yeah, this one, which is why I decided to pick this one, because I like the contrast of the two different tones of wood. But yeah, that is what I got at the Sheep and Wool Festival. Yeah, I definitely want to go back again next year. And yeah, now that I know kind of like the general like size of the festival, I wasn't sure how big it was going to be. It was actually much bigger than I thought it was going to be. And yeah, it was pretty packed. Like when we got there I think around 11. And there was a little bit of a line to get in, but it really was not like hard. We waited. It was like a very fast moving line, so just to like pay the admission. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I definitely want to go back. And that is all I have for today. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.